Today's video is all about cooking just like Grandma. I feel like we've talked about this before, but sometimes I just crave just like a good old classic, not too complicated recipe, something just like Grandma used to make. So in today's video, we're gonna make 2 dinner recipes. Both of these have stood the test of time. These are tried and true recipes. Maybe your grandma made these. Maybe if you're a grandma yourself, you've made these recipes before, but either way, they're delicious. I wanna share them with you guys. And we're also gonna make a super old-fashioned recipe with a little twist for dessert. It's gonna be so good, y'all. Let's get started. So the first recipe we're gonna make today, y'all, is Poppyseed chicken casserole. I know I've had this in the past. It may have been my grandmother who made it. I can't remember, but I do remember it was really good, and this is so easy to make. This is actually gonna come out of our church cookbook, and I'm pretty sure this lady in here, yes, she's definitely a grandmother. So sticking with the grandma recipes, let's put this together. This is something that everybody will like, even the pickiest and smallest little eaters. All right, so we are gonna be using a rotisserie chicken for this recipe. This is probably more than we need. We need about 2 or 3 cups. I'm just gonna add it to our bowl here. All right, so to our chicken, we're just gonna add 1 can of cream of chicken soup. All right, next to that, we're gonna add a whole 16-ounce carton of sour cream. Now, this recipe in the cookbook does not call for any seasoning. That's one thing that I have noticed about the church cookbooks and recipes kind of passed down. They don't really add too much seasoning. Let me know if y'all have noticed that. But we are gonna add just a little bit. I'm just gonna add a little bit of this Dano's. It's an all-purpose seasoning. It's great on everything. I don't even know what's in here, but add whatever seasonings you like. At least a little bit of salt and pepper, I would say. Now, I can appreciate recipes for not adding seasoning because some you don't need to cover up the flavors. Like the flavors that you're working with are good enough. So, all right, we're gonna give this a mix. And like I said, this is a very basic recipe. Y'all let me know if your grandma, or if you are a grandma, you ever made this recipe. This reminds me a lot too of Shirley's chicken casserole. It's pretty much the same exact thing, except on top you use stovetop stuffing. It's in my cookbook and I've shared it before. But anyway, I have my poppy seeds over here, but I'm not gonna mix these in the mix. I'll tell you why here in just a second. All right, so we have our baking dish here. Give it a little spray. And I love recipes like this. Y'all know I love a good casserole anyway, but a recipe like this you can mix up ahead of time, maybe before church or just earlier in the day is perfect. That way all you have to do is pull it out of the oven, pull it out of the fridge, maybe let it, come to room temperature just a little bit, pop it in the oven, and you're good to go. The only thing I will say about this recipe in particular is I would not make it ahead of time with the Ritz crackers on top because of course they're gonna get soggy. So I'll just wait. All right, so the poppy seeds, we're gonna add to most of it, but I'm gonna leave a little corner over here in the back. We're gonna be sharing this recipe with my grandmother, and she doesn't particularly like little seeds and stuff like this, so I'm just gonna leave that out. If you don't wanna use the poppy seeds at all, you really don't have to. You can't taste them, I don't think. All right, so I'm just gonna kind of stir these in, just on this side over here. All right, I'm gonna put this to the side just for a second. We're gonna bring over another bowl. Now I have, is this a whole box of Ritz crackers? Yep. 4 sleeves of Ritz crackers here. I'm at least gonna use 3 of these. This recipe in particular calls for 2, but I like a lot of topping. I feel like I've told y'all that plenty of times. But let's get our Ritz crackers into a bowl. I'm just kind of crunching them up as I go. You don't want them crushed real fine. You do want to leave some bigger pieces in there. All right, so I ended up using just about 3 sleeves of those Ritz crackers. I have about 1/2 cup or 1 stick of butter. I may even use more than that because we want to moisten up all of our Ritz crackers. So let's give this a stir. Let's see if we need more. I can already tell I'm gonna need a little bit more. Yep, see how it's It's getting there, but I want all of these crumbles to have a little bit of butter on them, so that way when it bakes in the oven, it really does become more of like a crust. So I'm gonna start with another half stick of butter. All right, I don't know if y'all can tell on camera, but that is kind of more how you want it to be. Now all we're gonna do is add our cracker topping to the top. All right, we already have the oven on 350. I'm gonna go ahead and cover this and put it in there for about 15 minutes and then uncover it for the last 15 to kind of let the top brown up a little bit. All right, y'all, here is our poppy seed chicken casserole out of the oven. It looks delicious and it has been sitting just a few minutes actually. So let's go ahead and serve it up. Smells absolutely delicious. This is truly a crowd pleaser. Y'all give this one a try. All right, y'all, this next recipe is I don't know, shall we say vintage dessert, Dolce de Leche Rice Krispie treats with a brown butter caramel sauce. This is not my recipe. I saw this one on Pinterest, but I wanted to give it a try because, like I said, Rice Krispie treats have been a thing forever, and I definitely remember my mama making these, sitting in the kitchen on a weeknight, all the kitchen lights off, a candle burning, and eating a Rice Krispie treat, freshly made, still warm. It doesn't get any better than that. I think these are gonna be delicious. Let's try them out. All right, so first of all, I just have a little dish here. This is, I don't know, but you're supposed to use an 8x8 or a 9x9. We're just gonna give it a little spray. We're also gonna add some parchment paper in here just to make the treats a little bit easier to get out. All right, let's set that to the side and let's go over here to the stove. All right, so I have a large pot here and we have 5 tablespoons of butter that the recipe says to melt and brown. And her notes in there for browning say you just want to melt this down, continue to stir it until you start to see the little brown bits on the bottom, and then at that point you'll just remove the pot from the heat and you'll have brown butter. All right, can y'all see this? The little brown bits on the bottom, they are perfectly browned up. So now we're just gonna add in some mini marshmallows. Of course, I have the recipe down below. We're gonna switch this recipe up slightly. All right, so we're just gonna stir this until our marshmallows are melted. We might have to put them back over there on the stove just for a minute. So we're just gonna add in our vanilla extract, another little stir. And then next we have 6 cups of Rice Krispies. Actually, this is crispy rice from Food Line. We're gonna get these stirred in. Y'all just wait, we're gonna add something in just a second that's gonna make these even more special. Now, while it's still warm, I have 2 cups of extra marshmallows. We're gonna pour those in as well. And y'all have to let me know in the comments if you make your Rice Krispies like this, where you melt down most of the marshmallows and then stir in some whole. I know a lot of people do that, but just my regular Rice Krispie recipe, I would just melt down all the marshmallows, but I think this way is gonna be really good. Starting to break out a sweat. All right, now we're going to bring over about half of our Rice Krispies. We have a taste tester behind the camera. Did y'all hear that?
Cheers, y'all.
Okay, I had to switch to my Spurtle because we are so sticky. All right, let's get half of this in here. Okay, y'all, Rice Krispie treat hack. After you melt your butter, save your little butter paper because you're not gonna flatten this down with a utensil. Just rub your hands on that butter paper and then look how easy it is. Look how easy it is to flatten it down now with just your hands. Next, we're gonna add a layer of this Dolce de Leche sauce. It's pretty much like a caramel, but you can find this on the international or the Mexican flavor aisle. And this was a whole can. We just kind of melted it down to make it a little easier to spread out, but it's about a half a cup, what you want in the middle. And I'm sure, like I said, if you can't find this, or if you have a jar of caramel, it'll work just the same. And this recipe also called for sea salt to be added, but I don't know, I just wasn't feeling like we wanted something like a salted caramel. I wasn't feeling that today. So we're not adding in the salt part. And now all we're gonna do is add in that other half right on top and press it down. All right, y'all, these are done. We're just gonna let these sit for maybe 30 minutes to an hour before we cut into them. All right, y'all, here is that Dolce de Leche Rice Krispie treat. Let's look at it. I mean, come on. Look how good that looks, y'all. So tonight for dinner, I'm gonna make another recipe that's super easy to make. I think there's maybe 6 ingredients in here, but this is another tried and true recipe. It's been around for years, and fun fact, this was actually one of the very first recipes I cooked on my channel. That video is pretty entertaining, to put it that way, if you want to go back and watch it. But we're going to remake it today, a little bit different, a little bit better, I think. So let me show you what we're going to make. So first of all, we're going to cook up some angel hair pasta to go in here. This is a 16-ounce box. We're going to cook about half of this, about 8 ounces. All right, we got our pasta in here starting to cook up. So let me know if you ever tried chicken spaghetti. I know the Pioneer Woman has a recipe that's really popular, and that is the recipe I made in my first video. I'm pretty sure I used hers. Also, I wanted to tell y'all this recipe makes a perfect freezer meal. I talked about that in my old video as well, but you can make a whole batch of this, and then if you have a smaller family or if you're just feeding a couple people, you can half the recipe, put it in an aluminum pan, and then freeze it for another meal later. All right, right now I'm just gonna go ahead and put our drained angel hair pasta back into our pot, and we're just gonna use this pot as our mixing bowl. All right, so we are using a rotisserie chicken for this as well, and we're gonna need about 2 cups of the chicken. We already went ahead and pulled it and chopped it up. I have a lot more than 2 cups here, so I'm just going to add about 2 cups in. So we're gonna add in 2 cans of cream of chicken soup. Next, we're adding in 1 cup of salsa. We're adding in 1 cup of sour cream. For our seasoning, we just have about 2 tablespoons of taco seasoning. I might add a little bit more. We're following, I think it's the Country Cook's recipe for this. I might add just a little bit more seasoning. And then this is 1 cup of Mexican blend cheese. We have another cup on the side we're gonna top it with. Let's just bring our packet back out. I'm not gonna add quite all of it, but just a little bit more. All right, now we're gonna stir this really well. We have our noodles on the bottom, our chicken. We wanna get everything nice and incorporated and evenly kind of stirred in there. Y'all, in my first video that I was talking about when I first made this recipe, I put all these ingredients in my stand mixer, and I'm sitting here mixing this up and I'm thinking, well, that might not have been a bad idea because it is kind of hard to stir up. But back then, y'all, I was starting out my channel, and I guess I just thought I needed to be like extra fancy with my stand mixer. But it was kind of silly thinking about it now, mixing up noodles and a casserole in my stand mixer. Maybe not, I don't know. What do y'all think? A little spray, just in case. All right, now let's bring over our chicken spaghetti. Let's get it transferred over. All right, here comes our 2nd cup of our Mexican blend cheese. And we're just gonna sprinkle it evenly all over top. And last but not least, we're gonna sprinkle with just a little bit of this lightly dried parsley, just to give it some color, since we got kind of, what's it called? Monochromatic recipe going on so far. Before we cover this up, I wanted to tell you, it's going in the oven at 350, covered for just about 25 minutes till it's nice and warm and our cheese is bubbly. I think I say that about every casserole or anything with cheese on it. Till it's warm and bubbly. Alrighty, y'all, our chicken spaghetti is done. All right, it smells delicious. All right, it is time to serve up our chicken spaghetti. This looks so good, even better than I remember. This looks so good. Pair this with some steamed veggies, a salad. This is a perfect, easy, cheesy weeknight meal. All right, my friends, that's gonna be it for today's video. Don't forget to say hello in the comments. Let us know what you're up to today and if you're gonna try any of these recipes or if they're a recipe that you might make all the time. If you need some seconds, if you need some more dinner ideas, right here on the screen will point you in the right direction. I'll see you over there and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye y'all.